Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I'm excited to share with you something that many of us fail to recognize, something that stands right before us in plain sight. There are people in your life who, whether intentionally or not, may try to sabotage your growth, dim your light, and lead you away from the life you deserve. We're going to talk about 5 clear signs of someone whose energy you need to be cautious of, people who might just fit the marks of what we could call a witch. But I'm not talking about the broom-flying, hat-wearing folklore. I'm talking about those who have toxic, manipulative, and harmful influence over you, who work behind the scenes to drain your energy and manipulate you into submission. Understanding these signs will arm you with the awareness to protect yourself and empower you to take action. The first mark of a witch is manipulation. A witch thrives on control. These people thrive on keeping you off balance. They twist your words, play with your emotions, and shape the narrative to suit their own agenda. This could be someone in your family, someone in your work environment, or even a partner. They'll never deal with you straight up. No, they operate in the shadows, constantly twisting the truth and gaslighting you into thinking that your reality isn't the truth. Don't fall for it. Protect your clarity and your own sense of truth. A witch in this context is not bound to any fairy tale imagery. Instead, it refers to someone who manipulates, controls, and deceives those around them for personal gain. The first key hallmark of such a person is manipulation and deception. This type of individual thrives in environments where power dynamics can be easily influenced. Whether at home, at work, or in friendships, they have a way of playing with the truth, twisting situations, and confusing their targets. They'll make you question your reality, sowing doubt and uncertainty in your mind. At first, the manipulation may appear subtle, an offhand comment here, an innocent-sounding question there, but gradually you begin to see a pattern emerge. Everything is steered toward what they want. A witch of this variety understands the deep power of influence over others, and they use it mercilessly. Their goal is to make you feel disempowered, like you're constantly second-guessing your own instincts and abilities. When you feel confused and uncertain, you are much easier to control. They often excel at gaslighting, a psychological manipulation that makes you question your own perception of reality. When they say something and you challenge it, they will never admit fault. Instead, they make you feel as if you misunderstood the situation entirely. They'll deny things they said or did or distort events in such a way that you become the one who appears to be out of line. Over time, you start to feel crazy, like you are the one who can't trust your own thoughts or judgment. The deceit of a witch is designed to keep you in a perpetual state of mental and emotional vulnerability. It's an endless cycle of confusion, and it feels as though you're caught in a web, stuck with no way out. They often lead you to believe that they are the only one who knows the truth, which feeds into their ego and solidifies their sense of control. If they can keep you in this state, questioning your own understanding of events, they become the arbiter of reality itself. To manipulate someone successfully, you first need to make them feel that they have no one else to turn to, so the witch will distance you from others subtly over time. At the core of this manipulation is a sense of superiority that they hold over others. The witch believes they are the one who knows best, the one who controls the narrative. They'll do everything they can to ensure their influence is unobstructed by others, particularly people who can see through their deceit. This often means isolating you from your sources of support. The more isolated you feel, the more likely you are to fall under their influence, because their words and their reality become your only anchor. What makes this form of manipulation so dangerous is that it isn't always easy to spot, especially in its early stages. Most of the time, they work within your expectations, fitting in naturally with your life. They know the right words to say at the right time. The manipulation comes in doses, small enough that they remain unnoticed. At first, it seems harmless. They might claim that they know you better than you know yourself. And at the surface, this might just sound like concern. But behind this facade is a method of reshaping your entire worldview, making it so that their viewpoint aligns with yours and their desires become your reality. You might find yourself acting in ways you wouldn't typically act, or feeling an emotion you never expected. They know exactly how to feed your desires and fears, controlling your every decision so that you begin to favor their preferences. One of the common tactics they employ is the use of guilt. They may make you feel responsible for their well-being, subtly shaming you when you try to set boundaries or when you seek to prioritize your own needs. Every time you challenge them or try to assert your own needs, they might respond with passive-aggressive behavior using silence or distance to control you. Because manipulation is often tied to an extreme lack of empathy and a deep selfishness, the witch's focus will almost never be on your well-being. In fact, when it suits them, they will exploit your vulnerabilities to their advantage. They understand your insecurities, your fears, and your weaknesses, and they use them as tools to mold you into what they need you to be. If you feel that their interest is just a little too much, that they're keeping track of everything about you far too closely, this may be a strong sign that they are attempting to manipulate you. Over time, this becomes a debilitating process. The longer you allow yourself to stay in their presence, the harder it becomes to break free from their grip. Each time you question their motives, they turn it around on you. You feel bad for doubting them. You apologize for your feelings and soon learn to avoid addressing anything that might make them upset. Gradually, you are trained to prioritize their emotions over your own, their happiness over your own, and before you know it, you are living a version of life dictated entirely by them. One of the more toxic aspects of manipulation is that the person being manipulated often doesn't realize they are being played. They come to accept it as a normal part of life. The pattern becomes so ingrained that they don't even know how to take the first step toward liberation. The key to fighting back against this manipulation is awareness. You need to recognize when someone is not being honest with you, when they are framing situations in a way that serves only them, when your feelings are being hijacked to create doubt and insecurity in your mind. A witch can destroy your sense of self-worth by using this manipulation for a long time. The longer you allow them to play these mental games, the more you lose your sense of trust in yourself, your abilities, and your judgments. They feed off your confusion, your uncertainty, and they condition you to look to them for answers instead of finding the confidence within yourself to make decisions. Their ultimate aim is to destroy your autonomy. They want you to become reliant on their twisted version of reality. It's imperative to realize that manipulation is about control. At its core, a witch's manipulative tactics aim to strip you of control over your own life, decision-making, and thoughts. By taking away your confidence and bending your reality to their will, they ensure that you remain in their sphere of influence, unable to think freely or independently. The longer you stay in their web, the harder it will become to break free. The subtle twists, the endless attempts to reshape how you perceive yourself in the world, all work in service of their need to dominate and control. Recognizing this manipulation for what it is will give you the strength to refuse it, step by step. Emotional instability is one of the defining traits that you must recognize when dealing with a witch. It's an unpredictable emotional landscape that makes everyone around them feel like they're walking on eggshells. This individual's mood swings, hot and cold behavior, and erratic emotional states create an environment where no one feels secure. It's as if you can never truly understand what's going on in their mind because their reactions seem detached from reality, disconnected from the situation at hand. This emotional roller coaster makes relationships with them incredibly draining and complicated. A witch thrives on controlling others through their emotional responses. They know how to manipulate the emotions of others, primarily to create chaos and confusion. When their emotions run wild, they don't just feel them internally, they expect others around them to experience those emotions too. When they are angry, they want the entire room to feel the anger. When they're sad, the sadness becomes a heavy blanket that no one can escape. When they feel slighted, they create a storm of emotions that distorts everything, making everyone question whether or not they've done something wrong. The fluctuating nature of their emotions takes a toll on your sense of stability, causing you to constantly second guess what's appropriate and when One moment they may be fine, engaged, kind, even loving, but the next, without any warning, they can become hostile, bitter, or irrationally upset over something you never saw coming. These emotional shifts can happen without warning, causing confusion, stress, and anxiety for anyone who is trying to keep up. The people around them are left trying to manage the unpredictability of their emotional world, and because the shifts are so extreme, it becomes harder and harder for anyone to pinpoint what triggers them. With the frequent emotional changes, there's always an undercurrent of tension, as you never quite know what you'll be faced with next. This emotional instability can be both a tactic and a result of the manipulative tendencies of the witch. In some cases, their emotional outbursts are a strategy designed to unnerve others, making them question themselves. By introducing wild emotions into a situation, they place the burden of managing those emotions on everyone around them. Instead of people confronting the situation at hand, they're focused on diffusing the emotional conflict, which puts the witch in the position of power. And if those around them fail to manage it well, if their emotional reactions don't match up with what the witch expects, it often leads to more chaos and more emotional outbursts. It turns into a never-ending cycle of confusion and frustration. At other times, emotional instability comes from within the witch themselves. Their inner turmoil makes it impossible for them to feel grounded or at peace, and because they lack self-awareness, they project that instability onto others. Rather than addressing their own deep-seated issues and healing themselves, they divert their emotional volatility outward. Those around them become unwitting recipients of all the unresolved conflict the witch is carrying, be it anger, sadness, disappointment, or confusion. These emotional dumps are often disguised as being real or expressing oneself, but in reality, it's a method of destabilizing everyone within their orbit. In this state, those people find themselves either walking on eggshells, constantly accommodating, or even suppressing their own emotions to maintain the peace. Belief is more than mental, it's emotional. Believing in your ability to achieve something isn't just about intellectually understanding it's possible, it's about feeling it in your core. Confidence and certainty come from aligning your emotions with your desired outcomes. One powerful way to reinforce belief emotionally is through visualization. When you vividly imagine yourself achieving your goal, you create a mental picture that your brain treats as reality. Your mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined, so it begins to create pathways to turn that vision into reality. Regularly visualizing success trains your mind to expect it and generates the emotional momentum to pursue it. Your beliefs aren't static, they evolve with experience and action. Taking even small steps toward your goals can reinforce positive beliefs about your capabilities. For instance, if you doubt your ability to speak confidently in public, signing up for a small speaking engagement and successfully delivering a talk, even with nervousness, can reshape your belief. Each action you take, no matter how small, builds evidence that supports empowering beliefs. Over time, these small wins compound, creating unshakable confidence. Action reinforces belief, and belief propels action in a powerful feedback loop that drives progress. Belief isn't about ignoring reality, it's about focusing on potential. Some people confuse belief with denial, thinking that if they believe hard enough, they can ignore obstacles. True belief acknowledges obstacles but refuses to let them dictate what's possible. Believing in yourself doesn't mean pretending challenges don't exist. It means recognizing that you have the power to overcome them. When you believe deeply, you approach challenges with a mindset of resourcefulness rather than defeat. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you ask, "How can I do this?" The shift in perspective opens up solutions that wouldn't be visible from a place of doubt. Massive action is the key that bridges the gap between what you desire and the reality you create. It's not enough to dream big or make plans without action. Even the best intentions remain stagnant ideas. Action breathes life into your goals and sets the wheels of momentum in motion. However, not all action is equal. To achieve significant results, you must take consistent, focused, and relentless action that aligns with your goals and drives measurable progress. Massive action requires a shift in mindset. Many people are conditioned to believe that slow and steady effort will eventually lead to success. But in a competitive and fast-moving world, you often need to go all in. This doesn't mean reckless or unfocused effort. It means committing to the pursuit of your goals with the kind of intensity and determination that leaves no room for half-hearted attempts. It means showing up every single day, ready to push through challenges, face fears, and do whatever it takes to move closer to your desired outcome. Massive action doesn't wait for perfect conditions or inspiration to strike. It operates with urgency and purpose, no matter the circumstances. Taking massive action starts with being specific about what needs to be done. Clarity about your goals allows you to break them down into actionable steps. When a goal feels overwhelming or unattainable, it's often because it hasn't been dissected into manageable pieces. For example, if your goal is to build a successful business, massive action might involve creating a detailed plan, reaching out to potential customers every day, improving your skills, and dedicating time to networking and marketing. Without specificity, your actions may become scattered, wasting energy on efforts that don't bring meaningful results. Massive action focuses on high-impact activities that create momentum. One of the most critical elements of massive action is consistency. It's not about working hard for a day or a week and then slowing down. It's about sustaining effort over time, even when motivation wanes or results aren't immediately visible. Consistency compounds your efforts and builds habits that make success inevitable. Think about a person who goes to the gym every day versus someone who works out sporadically. It's the everyday efforts that in general will inadvertently make compromise, which by and large, the consistent individual will achieve greater results. Not because they have better workouts, but because their repeated actions create lasting change. The same principle applies to any area of life. Massive action requires a disciplined commitment to show up and put in the work day after day without making excuses. Fear and doubt are natural obstacles to taking massive action, but they cannot dictate your behavior if you want to achieve extraordinary results. Many people hesitate to act because they fear failure, judgment, or the unknown. Massive action doesn't eliminate fear, but it diminishes its power. When you take bold, decisive action despite your fears, you gain confidence and resilience. Every step forward reinforces your belief in yourself and your ability to handle challenges. Fear thrives on inaction, but action weakens its grip. By focusing on the steps you can take right now, you silence the mental chatter that holds you back and build momentum that propels you forward. A key component of massive action is adaptability. It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart. When something isn't working, massive action means adjusting your strategy rather than stubbornly sticking to a failing approach. This requires a willingness to learn, experiment, and innovate. It's not enough to keep taking the same actions and expecting different results. Pay attention to feedback, evaluate your progress, and refine your methods to ensure that your efforts are aligned with your goals. Adaptability allows you to stay effective in the face of changing circumstances and new challenges. Massive action also demands a level of intensity that sets you apart from others. This doesn't mean burning yourself out or working without rest, but it does mean pushing beyond your comfort zone and challenging your limits. Many people operate at a fraction of their potential because they underestimate what they're capable of achieving. When you push yourself to take more action than you thought possible, you discover new levels of strength, creativity, and resilience. This is how breakthroughs happen, not by playing it safe, but by embracing discomfort and striving for excellence in everything you do. Accountability plays a significant role in maintaining the momentum of massive action. It's easy to make excuses or rationalize inaction when you're only answering to yourself. By involving others in your journey, whether through mentors, coaches, or supportive peers, you create an external system of accountability that keeps you on track. Sharing your goals and progress with someone you respect adds an extra layer of motivation to take action, even when you're tempted to give up or settle for less. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to take massive action and hold you to a higher standard. Massive action also involves celebrating small wins along the way. Big goals take time to achieve, and focusing only on the end result can lead to frustration or burnout. By acknowledging and appreciating your progress, no matter how small, you reinforce positive behaviors and maintain motivation. Each small victory is a stepping stone toward your ultimate goal and a reminder that your efforts are making a difference. Celebrating these moments keeps your momentum strong and makes the journey more enjoyable. Finally, massive action requires a strong sense of purpose. When your actions are aligned with a meaningful and compelling goal, you're more likely to sustain the effort needed to achieve it. Purpose gives your actions depth and significance, transforming them from mere tasks into steps towards something greater. When you have a clear purpose, massive action becomes less about obligation and more about opportunity. An opportunity to create the life you desire and fulfill your potential. The drive to take relentless, focused action stems from knowing why your goals matter and how achieving them will impact your life and the lives of others. A lack of empathy is one of the most revealing and damaging traits of a witch in someone's life. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is the foundation of all healthy relationships. It is what allows us to connect with those around us, to offer support when it's needed, and to act with kindness and understanding. Without empathy, an individual becomes isolated from the human experience and views the world solely from their own limited perspective. The witch, lacking in empathy, can manipulate, harm, and destroy the people in their life without any genuine understanding of or concern for the emotional consequences of their actions. When someone is absent of empathy, their ability to relate to others on a meaningful level diminishes, and they start seeing people as tools for their own needs. They don't consider the impact their words or actions have on those around them. Their focus remains solely on what they want, what they can extract from others, and how they can control the situation to their benefit. If the people around them suffer, they don't feel the sting of their pain. If someone's feelings are hurt, the witch's only response is to view it as a problem to solve for their own advantage, rather than something that deserves genuine compassion or understanding. A lack of empathy manifests in several destructive ways. The witch may disregard or dismiss the emotional states of others entirely, never offering a listening ear or showing a sincere desire to help others through their struggles. Instead of being supportive, they may trivialize or belittle another person's feelings, either through overt ridicule or condescending remarks. When someone expresses pain, the witch's response often comes across as dismissive. It's not a big deal, or you're just being too sensitive. They act as though the emotional experiences of others are not worth their attention or respect. To the witch, emotional vulnerability is a weakness to exploit, not an opportunity to connect. Their inability to empathize makes them insensitive to others' boundaries and struggles, using the emotions of others merely as stepping stones for their own personal gain. If the witch can recognize emotion at all, they only do so as a tool to manipulate others, to gain a sense of control, or to keep people in their grip. They may pretend to show empathy, but only as a means of convincing you to let your guard down, trust them, and further invest in a toxic dynamic. This false pretense is usually fleeting. After they've gotten what they want, their empathy evaporates, revealing their true intentions. They might, for example, pretend to care when you've had a hard day, only to later use your emotions against you. I remember when you were crying about that last week, they might say, casting your vulnerability in a light that only serves to discredit you. The lack of authenticity in these interactions becomes glaring once you begin to notice the pattern. In some cases, a lack of empathy from a witch can morph into emotional abuse. The witch has no regard for the emotional damage they may cause by taking advantage of the other person's emotional investment. They might deliberately say cruel things, push boundaries, or manipulate a person's feelings without any hesitation or guilt. This form of manipulation goes beyond simple neglect. Instead, it's a calculated strategy to erode a person's confidence and sense of self-worth. The witch understands how much emotional power they can hold over you by exploiting your vulnerabilities, whether that's a fear of abandonment, a desire for approval, or emotional insecurities. And they will keep you emotionally tangled in this manipulation as long as it serves their purpose. They become emotionally detached from the hurt they cause, treating people as pawns, playing with emotions without ever truly acknowledging the pain they've inflicted. Part of what makes a lack of empathy in a witch so toxic is that the absence of caring is often disguised as something more acceptable, making it difficult to call out. The witch may display coldness in subtle ways, slowly and gradually wearing down your self-esteem and sense of stability, so that when they don't show up for you or betray your trust, it feels less jarring and more like an unfortunate misunderstanding. They'll never take full responsibility for their actions, nor will they extend a genuine apology. In their eyes, anything they do is justified because the focus will always be on themselves. If they do apologize, it's usually just to keep the peace or to manipulate the situation in a way that makes them look like the victim. In this process, they never confront their own behavior. Instead, they seek to maintain their self-permission and bolster their narcissistic tendencies by placing blame on the other party or ignoring the problem entirely. This lack of empathy becomes most painful in moments where connection, care, and support are most needed. Whether it's a family crisis, a personal setback, or a moment of deep emotional turmoil, the witch's absence of emotional connection strips the event of the compassionate response it deserves. Instead, you're left to fend for yourself. Without validation or comfort, the witch may go so far as to accuse you of being overly dramatic or seeking attention for simply trying to express legitimate feelings. They refuse to acknowledge your humanity, seeing only a tool for their emotional gain or frustration. The deeper your emotional vulnerability, the more indifferent or even cruel they may become in response, using your weakest moments as opportunities to either tear you down or strengthen their grip on you. People with a lack of empathy often fail to recognize when their actions are abusive, manipulative, or hurtful. If called out on their behavior, they may play the victim, suggesting that you are the one who is unreasonable or unfair in your expectations. They might turn the tables, accusing you of not being understanding or sympathetic to their needs, when in reality, their primary need is to control others. These types of tactics confuse the people around them, as they may find themselves apologizing for situations they never instigated or responding to emotional manipulation they didn't invite. The witch takes advantage of these moments to gaslight you into doubting your own emotions or desires, deflecting the blame onto you while avoiding any accountability. The cruelty inherent in a lack of empathy is what makes the witch so dangerous in relationships. Whether romantic, familial, or social, the witch is incapable of feeling concern for others at a fundamental level. When you are hurt, they may only respond with cold logic or a lackluster acknowledgement that does nothing to validate your emotions. They only understand what serves them, and the rest is ignored or viewed as unnecessary noise. In times of joy or success, they might even show indifference or take pleasure in downplaying your accomplishments. If your success somehow threatens their status or sense of superiority, they'll use their lack of empathy to disarm you, making you feel like your achievements don't matter or that you somehow owe them credit. To them, there's no room for love or mutual respect. There is only self-interest, control, and dominance. A lack of empathy also isolates the witch from true connection. Without the ability to understand and connect with others on a deep emotional level, the witch can never experience the richness of authentic relationships. Their world becomes one-dimensional, reduced to cold calculations where every action is based on a need for personal gain rather than mutual benefit. They keep people around not because they care, but because they provide something useful. If their usefulness runs out, so does the witch's engagement. Friendships, romantic partnerships, and familial ties all become expendable, with the witch moving on when others no longer serve their needs. There is no true commitment, no depth of feeling, only a shallow web of manipulation and exploitation where everyone is a means to an end, not an end in themselves. In this way, a lack of empathy prevents any real healing or growth within relationships involving the witch. There is no space for open communication, no room for compromise, and no potential for real change. Instead of a give-and-take partnership, every interaction is weighted with imbalances that hinder both individuals' ability to develop emotionally and spiritually. This absence of empathy might not always be visible in the beginning, but as time goes on and the witch's behavior becomes more apparent, it becomes glaringly clear, This is a person who is fundamentally disconnected from the world in a way that not only hurts others, but also deprives them of the capacity for genuine emotional connection themselves. The capacity for manipulation is a potent weapon in the arsenal of the witch. It is not about simple lies or deceit. It is the calculated, often subconscious crafting of narratives, relationships, and situations in a way that exerts control over others without them even realizing it. Unlike the more overt actions of malicious individuals, manipulation is subtle and insidious, creeping into conversations and relationships with little to no trace, but leaving its effects long after the manipulation itself has occurred. The witch is a master manipulator, skilled at shaping the world around them according to their own desires and needs, often at the expense of others' autonomy, integrity, and even their happiness. One of the key strategies used by a witch to manipulate others is by playing on emotions. Manipulators understand the delicate workings of human psychology and can pinpoint your emotional triggers with precision. They watch and listen carefully, learning your deepest fears, insecurities, and desires, and then use this knowledge against you. They might offer what seems like genuine empathy or concern, all the while weaving a narrative where you begin to feel responsible for their emotional well-being, as if you owe them your loyalty and attention in exchange for the care they pretend to offer. This emotional leverage is a powerful form of control that often results in you feeling indebted, incapable of separating your feelings from their needs, and confused about where your true desires begin and where theirs end. Over time, you might find yourself altering your behavior, your choices, and even your beliefs simply to keep the peace or earn their approval, unaware that it's the manipulation itself that's shaping your decisions. Another method of manipulation frequently used by a witch is gaslighting. This is one of the most damaging tools in the manipulative arsenal, as it slowly undermines your reality and sense of self. Gaslighting involves convincing you that your perception of events, interactions, or feelings is incorrect, illogical, or even imagined. It might start small, something like, "You're overreacting," or "I never said that," even when you know you clearly heard them. But as time passes and the witch repeats these phrases or actions, you begin to question your memory, your perception, and your emotions. They make you doubt the very way you understand the world, forcing you into a state of constant uncertainty and self-doubt. This tactic leaves you on edge, unsure of yourself, but firmly ensnared in a reality that they've designed for you. The worst part of gaslighting is that you often end up apologizing for things you never even did, and they twist any attempt at asserting your boundaries into an accusation of fault or instability on your part. Slowly but surely, the witch gains more and more control over you, and you become more dependent on their version of reality. One of the ways that a witch sharpens their skills of manipulation is through the use of selective truths and calculated silence. They won't outright lie all the time. They are too strategic for that. Instead, they will tell you just enough of the truth to keep you invested or comfortable, omitting or distorting the details that don't suit their intentions. This partial truth misleads you into thinking you know what is going on, creating just enough clarity for you to be left in the dark when important decisions or actions are taking place. At the same time, they may remain silent on certain topics, leaving you to interpret gaps in information however you choose. These silences are never accidental. They are used deliberately to create confusion, to avoid being accountable, or to manipulate you into filling the gaps with assumptions and conjecture, often leading you to an erroneous or self-serving conclusion. The witch knows that if they hold back just enough information, they can manipulate your thoughts and actions without even needing to say a word directly. The witch's manipulation also thrives on the constant playing of others against one another. Divide and conquer is a hallmark of their strategy, as they plant seeds of doubt, jealousy, and rivalry between individuals to ensure that their influence remains unchallenged. They may play the victim, positioning themselves as someone who has been wronged, all the while casting shadows on others as the villains, or as people who cannot be trusted. This is a manipulative tactic designed to rally others to their cause while causing disruption in the relationships around them. They suddenly ensure that conflicts between friends, family, or colleagues keep escalating, often positioning themselves in a way that maximizes their own power and isolation. Through this divisiveness, the witch continue to hold others in their orbit, having manipulated them into doing their bidding or believing in their narrative of victimhood, all the while eroding trust and spreading chaos behind the scenes. Gaslighting and creating division aren't the only ways in which manipulation manifests through the witch. One of the most dangerous tactics used is the projection of blame. The witch rarely acknowledges their own mistakes or the impact their actions have on others. Instead, they skillfully turn any criticism or confrontation into an opportunity to blame others for problems they have caused. In this twisted dynamic, the witch deflects responsibility for their own behavior, forcing you to bear the emotional and psychological weight of their actions. You might find yourself apologizing for things that were not your fault, trying to repair situations that were never your responsibility, and taking on emotional burdens that you did not create. This projection is particularly powerful because it has the potential to leave you questioning your sense of fairness and justice, forcing you into the submissive position of constantly repairing damage that was not of your making. When someone manipulates you, they often isolate you from any external support that might help you see the situation clearly. The witch excels at sowing doubt about those around you, subtly eroding your relationships with others by planting ideas about who you can or cannot trust. They make you feel dependent on their perspective and their guidance, isolating you from loved ones or friends who might give you a more objective view of the situation. Whether through spreading rumors, using emotional blackmail, or fostering dependency through crisis situations, the witch reduces your network of trusted individuals, reinforcing their position as the sole person who can understand or help you. Over time, you begin to internalize their narrative, and your world becomes increasingly small and confined to the influences they've woven around you. Another element of the witch's manipulative tactics is the subtle undermining of your achievements, strengths, and goals. Rather than offering the support or celebration that you deserve, they seek to diminish your success. They may act indifferent to your wins, downplay your accomplishments, or subtly suggest that you didn't work hard enough for what you've achieved. These calculated dismissals might appear as casual comments at first, but over time, they begin to erode your sense of pride in your accomplishments. The witch will make you second guess whether you really earned anything, replacing your joy with a pervasive sense that you are somehow undeserving of success. This constant undermining gradually weakens your belief in yourself, making it easier for them to maintain control over your emotions, choices, and decisions. Your dreams become clouded by doubt, all because of the calculated, subtle manipulations of someone who seeks to control and limit your growth. The manipulative behavior of the witch is also often tied to a sense of dominance, an unspoken power struggle that underpins every interaction. Whether they consciously realize it or not, the witch understands that control is power, and they will go to great lengths to manipulate circumstances in a way that places them in charge. They won't give you the freedom to make your own decisions or express yourself without filtering their influence. Instead, everything will be designed to keep you on the defensive, always questioning, always uncertain, never fully owning your autonomy, your ability to express your opinions, make independent choices, and live life on your own terms is slowly stripped away, replaced by their tight grasp on every aspect of your world. The power they wield over you begins to look normal because the small acts of manipulation becomes so entrenched that you no longer notice them. This stealthy form of control has the potential to change the way you see the world and your role within it, leaving you ever at the mercy of someone who has honed the art of subtle domination.